This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. What do you say? Are you ready to begin?
Hey everyone, my name is Greg Gizmozord Parker, and you are listening to Lords of the Storm, episode 127, the weekly Heroes of the Storm podcast for you, the true Heroes of the Storm. I'm joined tonight, of course, by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multizord Ellis and Ryan TBK Zord Reader. And on this week's episode, Alan DeBeery speaks. It's not on video, but you know what? We got kind of what we asked for. At least
Yeah,
subtle.
it's close enough. Ish.
I'll
Garrosh
count it.
Garrosh has entered the Nexus, and the Western Hemisphere has clashed, and hence, therefore, we shall discuss it. But first, let's see how the other Zords are doing. Multi, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Were you referring to the HGC Weston Clash by chance there?
That is exactly what I was referring to. Is that
Lovely.
TBK? How are you doing tonight?
I am doing well, Gregory. How about yourself?
I haven't heard.
I didn't know we were using accents tonight, but I suppose we can all speak in Old British.
We've offended everyone by this point.
Yes!
Oh.
Jolly good.
There goes my ringtone. There we go. Turn the phone off. I think for our next D&D campaign, whether you're Dragonborn or not, TBK, he has to have that accent,
Oh, gosh.
and he can have a little. He can have a monocle, a Dragonborn with a monocle, speaking in
Yes.
an old English accent. If that's what that
Love
is,
it.
I don't. We
I
do
don't
not
know
mean to
either.
offend anyone, but that's what I think of.
We just offended people who lived hundreds of years ago.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All of them.
Anyways, let's get
Jolly
into
good.
gaming discussion. Although I guess D&D is gaming discussion, you know. But what have you
True.
guys been up to in the Vidya games this last week, TBK?
Lots of heroes, of course. I've been streaming a bit more, playing around with Garage. That's been a lot of fun. What else have I been doing? Total War Warhammer. I've been getting some of that in as well. And I've been really busy. So it's mostly been heroes. Which,
Okay.
it's not bad.
Nothing wrong with that. Multi, how about you?
Well, it doesn't matter what I did this past week because it's this next week that counts. Because Knights of the Frozen Throne, the Hearthstone expansion, comes out tomorrow. So, gonna get in there, crush it out a little bit. I mean, of course, this week I played some heroes, got some Garrosh games in myself. But I want to throw out something. So, Knights of the Frozen Throne's dropping tomorrow. They're going to come out with some solo player missions that you can unlock stuff with. And the first one, you get this prologue where you can actually unlock one of the 9 Death Knight cards from it, just for free. And they've got this new rule that they built into Hearthstone where you can't get the same legendary twice until you've literally got all of the legendaries in an entire set. So I just wanted to kind of throw it out there for people that are looking to get in there tomorrow. Just know that if you do the prologue first, you technically have a higher chance of getting more of the Death Knight cards because you'd start off on that foot and then unlock everything just as normal based on your just regular packs. So that's my point. Like, and you probably do want to do that, frankly, because the Death Knights are all sweet, and those stupid 2, 3, 4 cost Prince cards that they came out with are not. So, yeah. But I'm super pumped for it. It's going to be really fun. I don't know if you guys checked into it too much, but you can fight the Lich King at the end, and if you beat him with all 9 classes, you get to unlock the Arthas hero for Paladin, like an old school pre-Death Knight Arthas.
Beating with all 9 classes?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
And they do
cool.
crazy things with every one, so it's going to be interesting.
I've been telling myself this is going to be the expansion that gets me back into Hearthstone, but I did not know it came out tomorrow. So we'll see. I'm sure I'll hop in and check it out.
At least try the missions and stuff just to see.
Yeah.
You know?
At least
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll do that. For myself here, it has been a very laggy Heroes of the Storm, unfortunately. Just because, again, MOBAs are very hard to play for me currently. And PUBG has been about it. But I was able to get in and throw some people around, throw them over gates, and then also die very quickly because I was the only warrior. And also sit in some long queue times. But that's because of some pretty big changes that went in that are mostly positive, but it's going to have a few setbacks as well, which we'll get into. But let's go ahead and get into the show here. TBK, what do we got going on in the weekly collection update?
So this week we have Brightwing and Kerosene on for gem sale, $312 a piece. We have the Elder Flying Demon Monkey Brightwing skin. Yes, you do need to go look that up to see if that is the actual name, because it is. Flame Dragon Kerosene, SI7 Bloodfang Valera, Infernal Sulfuron Ragnaros, Sand Desert Queen Zagara, and the Crown Prince Arthas, oddly enough, just in time for the Hearthstone expansion.
Nice. It's almost like they planned it.
It's almost like they planned it. Pre-Lich King Arthas. And as well as the Spectre Phantom Mount and the Citrine Cyberwolf, which is kind of like the yellowish, orangish Robot Wolf. Yeah.
Yep.
How long has it been since you guys have seen a Cyberwolf like actually in game? I have not seen
A
one
really
in a
long time.
I can't remember. It makes me want to do it
I know, right?
because of that, but I can't remember.
How long has it been since you've seen a pleb horse in game? Not that
Those you
long.
see yeah. Oh yeah, no, you see those in HGC now. So
Yeah.
I saw one the other day when I forgot to change my loadout.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Another mount question here for you, real quick. What mount do you use for Garrosh? I can't bring myself to use anything besides a wolf.
Oh well, that's
'Cause it's
fitting. Yeah,
Garrosh.
it's the racial mount as well for orcs in World of Warcraft. I've been doing the new motorcycle just because I think
Okay.
it fits as well. I did splurge and I got that Blackrock because it's just 150 shards
Yep.
to get the Blackrock skin.
Oh, easily the best tint.
Totally worth it.
Yep.
So,
Easily the best tint. I
hands down.
actually
So it
want to
looks good with it.
see that skin or that tint as a full-on BlackRock Foundry Garrosh.
All they
skin.
need are like more spikes on the shoulders and stuff.
Give him
right?
some armor. Give
Yeah.
him some armor. Give him some actual flame effects, and then give him some cool themed abilities around it, and that would be incredible.
Yeah.
That'd be super awesome. But yeah, I've been using the Elemental Firewolf
Okay. That one works.
with that tint. That one's pretty cool.
That's cool.
And then the Angry Cloud.
Yeah. That also
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
is also fitting. Yeah, I've been using the Blackrock Foundry skin and then the White Horde Wolf with that.
Ooh, yeah.
Since it's the orange and red don't quite match, but it's better than nothing.
There's kind of that whitish tint of just his regular skin too. That'd probably look good on that too.
All right. So weekly free hero rotation multi. What we got going there?
Well, if you like women who are strong but also kind of creep you out, and who doesn't? I've got a lot of them for you this week. We've got Kerrigan, definitely in that category. Zagara, yep. Lunara, yep. Super strong. Saw her all over HGC. Lily kind of creeps me out. I don't know why. Like, I know she's kind of cutesy, but it's when she does that, like, ready for adventure and then her angry face kind of looking thing, kind of creeps me out. I don't know what to tell you. I guess Ariel applies here too. She's in the free hero rotation. Can't really see the face very well, so that's kind of freaky. And then what else do we have? So then we got a couple of big guys here. We got Artanis and the Butcher. I mean, the Butcher himself just alone. Why was he in the final match? Anyway, I won't even talk about it. ETC, which I was going to tell you, Ryan, we saw all over the place this weekend. You must have been excited for that. And then there's Kael'thas, who's an elf guy. But if you have leveled up your account a little bit more, you've got a couple other options. You've got Stitches at level 5, Falstad at level 10, At level 15, if you haven't tried her out in a little while, you've got Diva. And then at level 20, you've got Mediva, which they need a skin for that now. Please give us a Diva skin for Mediva and call it Mediva. It could work. It could totally work. That's all I'm saying. Anyway.
Yeah.
I've forgotten. Go ahead.
Okay. I was say, since we're on skins and free heroes, I just have to throw this out here because it would be amazing. I was talking about this the other night. I want a garage skin. I want a brand new concept skin, and I want the first one to be used on Garage, and I want it to be an evolving skin.
Oh, as you continue to level up?
As you level, so it changes. Maybe it changes every 5 levels, maybe it changes every 3 levels or whatever. But Shaw infested Garage skin.
Oh,
so he starts out completely normal. And then as he levels, he starts getting like Shaw infested. You start seeing Shaw energy like swing or emanate from his attacks. And then by level 20, he's just got this like big Shaw thing around him. He's like leaking Shaw energy. His attacks are going crazy. He's got like a voice filter modulated to go with like this, raspy like Shaw voice thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
you actually just summed up an entire expansion of World of Warcraft with that sound that you just made. Yeah, no, I dig this. I dig this for sure.
I think that would be awesome. Like, and then that could be like the pinnacle type of skin for any hero. And you could have there's tons of heroes that you could do really cool stuff with that, like robot skins for heroes specifically that could evolve as you leveled. Especially, I was thinking Varian. You could do some really cool stuff with an evolving like robot type skin for Varian.
Even all of the Diablo characters could start out as like base level 1 gear and then going up to one of the gear sets. That'd be neat.
Yeah,
like change sets, that'd be super cool.
I feel like
I don't see it as a problem, right? Because you're already in game, you know who the hero is, so there's not going to be like a silhouette issue or a recognition issue or something, because it is in game already, so you know who you're up against. You can hit the tab screen and see, or what. You're not going to get it confused.
And there's precedent for this. Not to cut you off, but if I remember correctly, Gizmo, maybe you'd know too. League of Legends had Ezreal do this first, if I'm not mistaken. His sort of like Mega Man type skin. Anyway, it's been done, is my point. It's been done.
The thing I wouldn't know about is we had that discussion how I thought it would be cool if you could change out weapons and stuff about them, not because that's attached to a character. So my thought is, can the StarCraft engine handle things changing on a character in game? Or does it have to load in with that skin, like create the game with that skin?
I'm sure because if you package the skin as one deal, I would assume it would just be effects, because you wouldn't be changing the skin out. You wouldn't be pulling out elements from the base skin. You would just be adding on to it. So I don't know if, and you bring up a good point. I don't know if in the StarCraft engine that skin would actually be 3 separate skins. You'd have the base skin, and then you'd have 3 more quote skins that were all had to be loaded in, that were upgraded to, or if they could just layer on effects, which I assume you can layer on effects because you can add effects and stuff. I don't know. I'm sure I'm grossly simplifying this because I know exactly how it works in the StarCraft engine, but I'm sure they could figure out a way to make it work, because it would be freaking awesome. And I would pay $15 or $20 equivalent, honestly, for an evolving skin that did the abilities, the voice line and stuff, and plus gave you that cool sense of progression as you're leveling up through the game too.
Yeah.
Well, if it doesn't work on the StarCraft engine, then they've just got to rewrite the whole StarCraft engine just for this.
Yeah, they just gotta want to just get one of their coders on it, and be It's like
one guy.
Take
some
like a
new
week.
skin tech.
Yeah.
Need some new skin tech. But maybe that skin tech, Greg, would lead to them being able to replace weapons.
Yeah. I
Maybe.
would dig it.
I know.
I would
That'd be-
dig it. All right, let's go ahead and get into the news. Actually, before we get into the news here, I want to give a special shout out to our newest patron, Stacy E. So thank you for supporting the show. We always do appreciate all of our patrons. Now we will go ahead and hop into the news. All right, Lords of the Lane 7, August 27th. It is happening at noon Pacific. We will announce probably next week when those signups will start or when they will happen. We'll get the page up and everything. We don't have that. And of course, our $5 and above patrons will have first access to signing up for that. But just mark it on your calendar. Easy to remember. It's the 7th Lords of the Lane for August 27th. And it's going to be a good time. We have a lot of new heroes in game for that. So
Yes.
we'll see some interesting comps. Or will it be, who was it? Chromie
and
Zarya?
Zool.
Chromie and Zool.
Chromie Zool, yeah.
Chromie
that
Zool,
was pretty crazy.
Zarya, Ariel was nuts too
Cho'Gall.
in their own way. Yeah, Cho'Gall just by himself. Which, by the way, I've got to throw this in. I've been reading a lot of the Warcraft Chronicle 2 right now, and every time they talk about Cho'Gall and his backstory, it's singular. He is one entity, just with two heads. Just have to throw that out there.
I mean, I don't know the political correctness to that. But if he hasn't said anything disputing it, I guess we'll have to go with it. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
We also have a new core concepts that came out yesterday or 2 days ago, I do believe. So what we've had,
I think there's been 3 or 4.
yeah, there's
now.
been 3 or 4. This one is going to be covering specific roles. So it's going to go over warrior, assassin, support, and specialist, kind of what your team will expect from you in each role, and some tips to go along with each. So I'm really glad to see that they're continuing to do this. It's a really cool concept, and I hope to see them continuing it. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
No, it's great that they're doing this series of articles. Like I'm really glad that they're getting more official website information to help people that is, fairly updated, but more generalized and not necessarily hero specific.
All right.
Yeah, and they give good tips here. I mean, I can't count how many quick match games I go into where people aren't following some of these basic tips. So, yeah, check them out.
That is true. All right. Season 2, 2017, Season 2 is kind of getting close to an end here. It's a little less than a month away. It's going to be ending on the week of September 5th. So make sure to get in there to get your rewards. The mounts are sweet. And just remember, if you want the mount, all you got to do is get your placement matches, your 10 placement matches in Team League. Otherwise, you're going to have to get to Platinum to unlock that Earthbreaker Grizzly mount, which
I like it. I really want it so bad.
Excited for.
Oh, for sure.
It is.
Very unique looking mount.
And again,
Probably
it's,
look good with Garrosh.
Yep.
Just saying.
yeah, Blackrock Garrosh. That would look.
Like Garrosh on that thing.
Or the sweet elemental thrall skin that I love so much that goes perfectly with all these elementally things.
Yes.
True.
We need more elemental skins.
That's a good idea.
I thought you were going to say we need more elemental mounts for a second. I was like,
I mean, we've
got
got quite a few of those
yeah.
right now, but I would not be opposed to seeing some more cool elementally themed skins for other heroes besides Thrall.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that would be a good theme to keep going along with there. But less than a month, get your games in, get them out. So don't be crying to us when you forgot. Just like I forgot my Tychus skin and stuff at the end of the event. I always forget, but
Maybe-
I already have this in the bag.
Maybe we'll try and run a Team League night or something.
Yeah.
Where we're all on.
Yeah, that'd
and
be good.
just helping people do Team League games toward the end of the season.
Yeah, for
Those,
sure.
About
those
your
have always been
Tychus-
fun in the past.
About your Tychus skin there, Gizmo, just to give you some comfort. So Overwatch is having their summer games happening again, and they re-released all of last year's skins that you can just get with credits,
Yeah.
like a normal amount of legendary credits. So I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but it would make sense for Blizzard to do the same next year for the summer event, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So we'll probably get another
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah,
Probably
makes
get another
sense.
shot.
I agree. Speaking of loot that you can get, Twitch Prime members in August can get a free legendary loot crate, and that's going to start on August 17th. So to do that, just in your Twitch channel, there's a little crown up in the top right corner that'll have like a notification thing. You click on that, and there should be a claim offer. And I believe if this one works like the Overwatch one, it will send you a code that you can just type in and get that free legendary loot crate.
And remember, to actually get that, you need to be a member of Amazon Prime. And then you link your Amazon Prime and your Twitch account. And then you have to link your Twitch and your Blizzard account in your settings connections.
Yes. And one more note, too. The Overwatch version of this, where you can get a legendary loot crate, ends tomorrow. So August 10th. If you're listening to this on Friday, you are too late. But if you're not, sign up like I did tonight, literally a half hour ago.
Yes.
So.
All right. Also, word coming from Blizzard here on MMR resets. That is not something that we are entertaining. They have stated, which makes sense. They go to the points and stuff about, if you haven't played ranked for a while, it will typically go back if you hop back in and go based off of your either unranked draft, or if you don't have enough games there, quick match MMR to help for your seeding. But they explain why they never want to do a full MMR reset, because that is going to make it to where it has to start over from scratch, and no one's going to be having, good matchmaking for quite a while. But they are looking at other potential solutions, which I know we've talked about different types of decay and stuff before. I still like my 6 month idea. But yeah, so I don't think there was anyone that really wanted a flat MMR reset. So that's not a huge
there's
issue.
a few.
I'm sure people requested it. And like the fact that people are requesting to manually reset your MMR is also kind of weird. Seems exploitable. But no, yeah, I'm a fan of your rolling 6 month plan as well.
Yeah. Also, it should be noted that Verse AI, they confirmed Verse AI has no MMR and isn't used to seed anything.
Yeah,
That's good.
So that goes back to, and is this the same person?
I don't know, but I know there was someone who was testing, trying to do only AI games before they jumped into Hero League to see where they would get placed.
Yeah.
So
and you
would still be at the base, whatever MMR Blizzard start you up from a base. That's where you would be if you did that, because your AI, like 100% win rate in AI, will have no bearing.
Yeah.
On your Hero League.
All right. It's 100% win rate in AI. I don't think I have that, unfortunately. I'm sure
Depends on what
difficulty.
Depends on what difficulty mode you're on.
I think everyone's had that one elite AI game where people were just so bad that it didn't work out.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Also, Blizzard coming out here and speaking. Alan DeBerry is talking about punishment and reporting feedback. So this is on Reddit. The article title is, "I just experienced a Nova intentionally dying all game to end this quick. When confronted about it, his reply was, Blizzard never bans anyone anyway." And the worst part is he's completely right. So Alan DeBerry came and responded to this, and he wanted to clarify that first and foremost, this is a very, very important issue for him and the team, and they talk about it internally all the time, and that it is not the case that Blizzard never bans anyone. He says they're constantly banning people. However, and I think this is an amazing idea, I hope it gets implemented. I have played games where it is implemented. They are wanting to get some sort of system in place to where if a person you ban gets banned, you are notified that your report helped to get that person banned. And that is super satisfying, because at this point, I mean, it's right. You hit that report button, you don't know what's happening. You don't know if anything ever happens. So a lot of times, even if people are getting banned, it feels like nothing's happening because you still continually run into trolls. So it's just a nice feedback loop. It's, keeps people wanting to report people that need to be reported. But I also did see in the discussion down here how other games also have, like, you can only report people a certain amount or a certain number of people within an allotted time, which I also think is a good idea because that would keep people from, spamming reports for people they just don't like, saving them for people that need them. But yeah, I think I would really like to see this implemented in game. I don't know if you guys have ever played games with this system, but
Well, Overwatch actually just redid theirs super recently, I think over the last couple of months. And I feel like I just keep talking about Overwatch this episode, so apologies for that. But they had some really elegant solutions, I thought. They have it to where, you can still report as many people as you like over there. But the more you do, like if you really report someone at the end of every game, the less impact your report has in the big scheme of things. Whereas, like, if you report seriously bannable offenses and then it's looked into and people get banned over there, and you only do a few, then they super take you seriously over there. They say, oh yeah, this guy only throws out a couple of these, and every time he has, it's been for a really legit reason, so let's just dig into this and see what we can do. So I'd like to see that kind of thing happen. And they also, in Overwatch now, have the ability to, if you report someone and then they actually do get banned or any sort of action taken on them, you do get a little statement come back, just a little quick thing saying, we looked at the report. Yes, we agreed. This person has been, I don't know how much detail they get into these things, you know what I mean? But the point is, you get feedback back, and that just kind of proves to the people that it is working. If you don't have any feedback back at all, then it's kind of weird. Like, it does kind of feel like you're throwing the report out into the ether and not really knowing if anything ever came of it. So, but this is Alan DeBeery coming in here and saying that there is something coming of these, but I think it's somewhere in that disconnect that we're not seeing the whole picture.
Yeah, and it's really important if there is ever any thought out there that bans aren't doing anything, that they nip this in the butt because, they talk about free-to-play games, competitive games, especially MOBAs and things like that, are just naturally a breeding ground for toxicity. So it's important that we feel like we have an impact to try and keep the game as clean as possible, I think.
For sure. Another way for us to have that impact, a solution I've seen in other games too, is where you actually open up the ability for the community to check into some of these, like on a volunteer basis, or maybe you give just like a little bit of gold or a very small amount of shards to sit down and look through cases, read the chat, kind of get the idea, see how many curse words and slurs are thrown out, and then assess accordingly. That could be a good way of looking into it.
Yeah.
I'd get in on that every now and then. Seems like something you could have up on your dual monitor while you're just hanging out, right?
Yeah. My new part-time job, Heroes of the Storm auditing, player auditing.
Hey man, it pays in gold. It's as good as money.
That's right. It's not just MOBAs though. It's free to play games specifically, just because just the ease there is of creating accounts and such can really create that breeding ground. And I was actually talking to somebody at work this week who plays Heroes 2, and I was telling them about this and that they're wanting to get more feedback. And I completely agree with the whole, it'd be really nice to be notified if somebody we reported had action taken against them, whether it was a silence, whether it was a ban or whatever. It just really helps. It's good feedback to have as a player that you are helping cleanse the system of toxicity. Yeah. And so that's always something you want to kind of reward your player base that is doing good reporting with. But at the same time too, we had got to talking, and he was mentioning that he would like to see the opposite happen as well, and that the people who are being toxic get notified before they are banned. Or
that's interesting. So it kind of causes them to clean up their act a little bit.
Yeah, because as of right now, as far as I know, there's no notification that you receive outside of game before you get silenced. You just, boom, get silenced in game, or boom, you just get banned. in game. And so it'd be really nice to, if someone was getting reported a lot, they were getting close to a silence or they were getting close to a ban, that they actually do receive some communication, most likely automatic on all fronts, because you don't want to have to do these things manually. You want to automate, of course, everything you can. But it'd be nice if they got some feedback that says, hey, you've been being reported for this, this, and this. And you are very close to X punishment. Please work on such and such, which is the no abusive language or dying intentionally or whatever and whatnot. That way the person has warning so that they do have the chance to clean up their act. And hey, if they do, and you're getting the person to do it proactively, that's great.
Yeah.
That's what you want in the end. But if they're not and they don't, then they get banned. And then the people who got the reports will get the thing that says, your report helped ban X number of users or helped silence X number of users. Thank you for helping us maintain the system or whatever.
And then give us the loot chest. I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, I like all that. I like the warning toward the person who's about to be banned. But I do think there's still some things that are probably worth just insta-banning. I'm thinking about things like really abusing exploits or real life threats, like actual, I'm going to come to your house and blank, blank, blank. I just think that there's got to be some cases in which they can still just drop the accounts, because there's a line for me, for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, if someone's just kind of on the verge, they get a little mouthy and they get a little warning saying, hey, people are starting to notice, then maybe they would clean up a little. I like it.
Yeah. The one thing I will say here, I know I am super guilty of this, and I imagine there are probably a lot of people out there as well who complain about the report system. And that is, it is not necessarily the easiest thing, I imagine, for them to go in and spend the time finding everything. So be as thorough as you can when reporting somebody. Like I said, I am super guilty of just hitting report and bam, being done. 50% of the time I'll actually pick the right category. But if you can like think of even just like putting like a timestamp of when something happened, that makes it much easier where they're not having to go through to pull up or look through like an entire chat log. Yeah. Just give them a timestamp. They're able to, whatever, I imagine this is how it works. Pull up the file, pull up the timestamp of that chat log. Bam. It's right in this area. Much easier to see. That would probably help them be more effective at dishing out the bans as well.
Well, and kind of tying into what I said earlier, just be genuine about it too. I mean, don't just, someone kind of fed a little bit throughout the game and maybe they're just not the greatest player, but you got in there and reported them anyway. And we're like, dude was a total noob. Like, that's not as good as if someone really had toxic behavior and you took the time to ideally choose the right category and give a little explanation. Even though there's not like a system in place right now to reward you for doing that, you're right. It's got to help them with reviewing them.
Yeah.
So,
for sure. All right. A new brawl has been in this past week, and it's kind of reminiscent, and we had mentioned it, so we're going to take credit for it, even though we probably shouldn't, for booty coffers. And while
the Heroes Charity Brawl,
yes,
as a collective,
that's
takes
not us.
credit for it, because
Mm-hmm.
it does appear to be very similar to our Battle for the Bullion concept that we had in the Charity Brawl.
Yeah,
other than a few things. Yeah, there's definitely a few differences.
Some few major things. I mean, you do have to. So yes, you collect the doubloons, but you do have to turn in 100 for the game win. So our version was we were just, if you held 100 at any given time, you just won. But yeah, it's super interesting. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it kind of took you out of laning. Like, you didn't have to lane a lot, and it was a bunch of just fun group fights and collapsing on new points when a new chest dropped and all that. So it was cool.
Mm-hmm. I still think it would be cool if like you couldn't turn in. That
was my suggestion.
Yeah, because that just creates more exciting team fights and stuff.
Creates more drama. It creates more exciting team fights, and you get way cooler coin explosions from people dying, because otherwise you'll just have the little piecemeal turn-ins, which, I mean, stuff is around enough. Like I've barely lasted over 10, to 12 minutes.
Oh yeah,
per game on this,
which
because
is good. I mean, it's one of the shorter ones.
It's what it should be. I think the chests spawn super fast. There's these gigantic chests that spawn, which was a total like surprise to me, because I didn't see it listed in the actual like explanation. It just said it's chest spawn, and then this chest that's like 5 times as big as you are spawns in some location. It's just like, here's all the coins. And then like all the mercenary camps drop more, forts and keeps drop coins when they explode. It's pretty cool. I really like it, but I agree with Greg. I think I would like it if you couldn't turn in either until you had 100, or just getting to 100 triggered Blackheart to say, ho ho, yes, good job, mateys, and fires on the enemy core and kills it in one shot.
I will say this though. He does do now, but the animation was a little underwhelming. I don't know why. Like, the rules even says he bombards the enemy structure until it dies, but then it's like one shot.
Yeah.
Like, I even had a game where one guy was like, oh, that wasn't what I expected, but okay. GG, guys.
Yeah, when I read that, I was imagining like, oh, so is it possible then to like have some sort of crazy base race where a team turns in against you, so you just rush their core and try and get theirs down manually before the Blackheart gets yours down? No.
Nope.
Guess not.
You'd have to be really quick. But it actually ends the game and takes control of the camera as he shoots. So it wouldn't be possible anyways.
I don't even know if you could win that mode by pushing. We certainly didn't try, so.
It's a very unique mode. I really like it though. Like, kudos to them for getting some new brawls out there. Like, and this one's not super long. It's pretty fun, and I think I'm biased because I was one of the people that came up with our Battle for the Bullion mode, but it would be cool if you couldn't turn in. I just want to see like coin showers when someone dies.
Oh yeah,
like
those
those
golden showers.
A little bit.
Scott loves the golden showers.
Yep.
I don't. It sounds
Nothing?
like you're. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
just
know
go.
what you're talking
Just
about,
go.
but I'm gonna go with coin showers.
Coin
showers of bullion.
Indeed.
That sounds even worse than a golden shower, a bullion shower. I know it's not, but it sounds weird.
Bullion.
Anyways.
This has gone an interesting direction.
Anyways.
Thanks, Greg.
It's my job here. Job's to go take us through the show and then derail us at the same time and then get us back on.
It's fun though. I like it. I'm glad they're experimenting with some other just like fun modes that are completely outside the normal realm of game, because it like Multi was saying, it does create a whole new dynamic where you don't really lane as much. The stuff spawns enough that you're kind of just going from objective to objective with just a tiny amount of laning in between.
Cool. Awesome. So let's get on to the Garrosh patch. He has entered the game. Most stuff kind of stayed the same as far as other general patch stuff, but first, let's talk a little bit about Garrosh. So we talked about him, playing him in the PTR last week, but now that he is officially in, I have only gotten like 3 or 4 games in on him, but in that short time, I think I've kind of agree with the consensus that's been going around on Twitter about him,
which
and
is
his potential single tanking issues, his squishiness of being focused, which I think that stuff can be tweaked with, more health or potentially changing how his trait works. But other than that, I mean, he's super fun. I know TBK, you had some responses to Bakery's solo tank issues with Abathur and stuff. So what do you feel about him? That was hilarious. I love the rose
it just struck me. It just struck me. Yeah, so the way you fix, you don't think he's a solo tank, play Abathur, clone Garrosh, and then Garrosh can throw Garrosh in, and boom, you have an initiate now.
Yep.
Done.
NBD. I do want to start off by saying, from a Garrosh perspective, Core Heroes, another great podcast, had Jade Martin on, the designer of Garrosh, last night. Yep. And it was a really good interview. So go check that out. I don't want to talk too much about it because you should just go listen to it because it was really good. One of the things that really stood out to me, though, that kind of was nice to hear, because I know me and John had very similar kind of views on this, was he actually came out and said, no, not having Iron Star was a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And so that made me, that it was disappointing, but at the same time, it made me feel good to hear him say that. Like, it was kind of nice just to hear that coming from the dev that made him, and just kind of the whole feeling of there's a lot of characters that you can go a lot of directions with, and this is just the direction they took him. Mm-hmm. Not everyone's gonna like it. Like, I still wish in some ways they had gone a different direction with him and other things, but he's here. He's fun. The kit itself is really good. And so it's just nice. It was just nice for me, from my perspective, to hear that, yes, there was some things that would have been probably pretty cool that we just kind of missed the boat on.
Yeah.
That's probably always true, at least to a degree, right? With everybody. But yeah, it's good to hear them say that.
But as far as Garrosh goes, he's really fun. He's got, I would say, a fairly high skill cap to actually really pull off a lot of his stuff. I would agree with the consensus that he is extremely vulnerable to burst, because you don't even have 25 armor until you're at half health. Mm-hmm. So some crazy person did the math on the effective HP of Garrosh, and I don't have it pulled up, but it's ridiculous, and there's probably calculus involved, and that's more math than I want to think about right now. But just from a feel perspective, he is extremely vulnerable to burst. He does get very tanky towards low health, but then you have a really low health tank. And so I feel like he's got most of the tools he needs to be a solo tank. He's got really good CC and like peel or displacement, which is awesome. He's got multiple slows potentially. He's got things that can allow him to reduce attack speed or reduce spell power or reduce healing.
You can technically get a stun off of Wrecking Ball in later talents.
Yeah.
When they land, they stun. So
yeah, you can get a stun later. You've got Decimate if you go that way, which is not a ton of damage, but it does slow in an AoE arc. You've got the AoE taunt. So he's got a lot of the tools he needs. The biggest issue with him is he has no escape and no initiate. Now, I don't care about escape. Escape's not a big thing. My tank doesn't necessarily need an escape, as long as he is tanky enough to face check bushes and stuff, because that's what the tank is supposed to do, right? And right now, he can get bursted down so quickly that you're almost a little scared to do that in a lot of situations. But I think the biggest thing that he's missing is initiate. And that's kind of what I was talking about with the whole, tongue-in-cheek Abathur clone, and then having Garrosh initiate Garrosh. But he needs very specific teammates to allow the initiation, because there's no way you can get him into battle quickly or be the first one in.
Well, okay. I think what people are talking about when they'd say that he's missing an initiation, isn't even necessarily initiation per se, but specifically a gap closing initiation. You think of like ETC's power slide into the rest of his moves.
That's what initiation is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can initiate a fight any number of ways. For instance, like one thing you could definitely do on him is if you just step up to the front line, you're going up against that ETC, you can, especially if you did that level 1 talent where you get the extra range on Wrecking Ball, you can throw the tank way outside of the way, step in, complete from there. I mean, you've turned up the heat of that group fight real fast doing that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
but
you've probably overextended yourself and you're getting bursted down. But I think the term initiation's getting either changed in the MOBA scene or something, because I think about like in old school League of Legends, you could initiate a fight with just an Ash Arrow or a Sona AoE stun, that sort of thing. So I think he has initiation. He just doesn't have a gap closing initiator. I don't mean to get technical on you, but
that's what I feel. I feel like that's what the term initiation is, though.
in Heroes, at least, because
In Heroes, at
yeah,
least.
maybe.
because you know your Wrecking Ball example throwing ETC, like, yes, if you're in that situation, but the fight already has to be initiated. Like, you guys have to be in contact with each other. That is the ETC's fault or choice to be close enough to you for you to throw him. Otherwise, if he wants, like, you have no way of catching him whatsoever. So
You can be mounted, and he is not. Close the gap quicker, grab him, go.
fair enough. I would
But
say,
yeah, so that. Oh, sorry.
well, my idea for initiation, adding something to him, would be so you can throw people with Wrecking Ball. What you can't really throw yourself, but what about having like a self-Wrecking Ball?
That's the first thing I thought about too.
Yeah, but it would be a lot like Dwarf Toss. But you could make it to where, like, if you threw yourself, then maybe you still get the slow that you give to other people, and maybe like you add like 2 seconds onto the cooldown or something. I don't know.
I'd love to see the animation for that. Like, does he just grab his shoulder pads, the Manaroth tusks, and just like pull them forward? And...
I feel like he has a big axe, so he just like swings it, and the momentum carries him, like Thor, kind of. You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
I've got to ask: does anybody else, like when they throw people, do like a wee? Because I do that every time I throw somebody.
I heard that's become your thing.
Yeah.
I think Thist even talked about that on Lagging Balls. I was like, I know that guy.
It's so fun. I love it. But I don't know. Like Blizzard themselves in the character intro video said solo tank. Like
right.
it is listed as a solo tank. And I don't it really, I think, is going to come down to what is your definition of a solo tank, right? Because from a player perspective, if the tank doesn't have initiation, it can't be a solo tank.
I would disagree
because
with
you
that
can't.
point.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about all the solo tanks. Muradin, initiation. ETC, initiation. Anubarak, initiation. Dahaka, initiation. Who else?
Kind of in a different way though.
Who else is
Varian, Tankstorm.
Johanna
Varian
has an ult.
Initiation.
Johanna does not have.
She has an
straight
ult.
gap
She has her
closing
stun.
initiation.
She's
Yeah, but
got
it's not a gap closer. She just wades into battle.
Falling
So
Sword.
does Arthas.
Falling
Falling
sword
Sword.
plus
Okay,
its
sure.
shield will stun enemies, then a condemn to follow it up.
Arthas doesn't
Slow
have
on
it.
Q. Arthas is not a solo tank,
No,
I would argue.
I would say, and this kind of goes along with Multi's point, if he is tanky enough to survive and stuff, I think that's all I need: survival and, crowd control as a solo
Right.
tank. But
Yes,
it
that's
would be
their
something
basic-
you have to build around because, like you said, Ash's arrow.
I think
you can use
I
like a
think he's riding
Tyrande
the
stun.
line.
As long as you would need more characters with ranged like skill shot stuns to help you initiate.
Yeah, and that's
Right.
where I think he's at right now. He's riding the line of solo tank. Squish burst ability, getting bursted down aside, that's a numbers thing, right?
Mhm.
That can be fixed. I think right now you either have to pair him with a second tank that has some sort of that initiation, that gap closer initiation, which kind of throws out the point of calling him a solo tank, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you need to pair him with some sort of heroes that can do that initial initiation for him, even if it's not necessarily a gap closer. So I was kind of thinking about this the other day, and I actually saw this in some of the games I was playing. So Malfurion, for one, not only does Malfurion work as a great healer for him because of the heal over time, which allows him to keep his armor longer. Roots can be a great ranged, quote, ranged initiator for him because it is a full lockdown that allows him to get up into range with his CC abilities and then take over from there. Stukov, another fantastic support that can help him initiate, whether through Pustule, which is this nice ranged slow that will increase to 50% to allow Garrosh to get or catch up with the person to use your pull or use your wrecking ball or whatever. Plus, at the same time, you can, and this is it. This was my epiphany moment. The level 1 talent that makes Stukov's attacks ranged
and slow.
Exactly. And so you pair that up with Garrosh as you're going in, you have a constant range slow onto whoever you're wanting to engage on. Garrosh is going to be able to catch up with them. And so right now it's not that he can't solo tank apart from potentially some sort of health issue. It's more that he needs that utility character to allow him to be that solo tank, unless the enemy team is really out of position or something. But then or they come in, but then it's not an initiate. They initiated on you, and now it's a defense type play, because you always want to try to be the ones that are dictating the pace of the fight and dictating when the fight happens. Otherwise, you're fully just reacting to the fight.
True.
And so that's what initiation is. So there's definitely some really good stuff. Tassadar can even be one.
Yeah.
Isolating a single, because I think Garrosh
Void Prison
is an isolation solo tank. He's all about getting the one person away from the pack, the sick gazelle away from the pack, whatever, by slowing disease or by slowing beam or by roots that entangle the gazelle's feet, and getting close to them, pulling them to him, or getting up next to them and throwing them back into the enemy, into your allies, to just murder.
Yeah.
And I think that is his play style if he's solo. It's not like the ETC where you're just sliding in, stunning everybody, and then knocking them back and being that super initiator. Someone is going to, in some ways, initiate for him, and then he's going to follow up on the opportunity.
Yeah.
I just thought of one as you were talking about that. And another ability that I just think of as an initiation, and a really good one, Medivh's Leyline Seal. Like that, how many times have we seen that start the fight? They cast it out, hit a couple people, then you set it up, or Zagara's Maw. Like, can you imagine Garrosh just standing there waiting for that to pop, chuck the guy 20 feet over his shoulder, and you got yourself a fight.
Another potential change I could see to help with it would maybe even be to Groundbreaker, because that has the potential to be initiate. It's just really short range right now. Is maybe even changing that to, instead of like a conal line in front of you, more of a skill shot straight line, not as wide all the way down, maybe like wider at the base, but making it further range. But still with like that tip being able to end up like pulling somebody towards you.
I was actually a little surprised that there was no size or shape changing talent for that, honestly. Because that seemed like something that you would have, like, make Groundbreaker bigger.
Like Slam.
It probably would be an auto include, though. Like Slam, you could kind of argue you could take some other talents on Stitches, but I mean, the ability to grab more people and like from a longer range just feels like, especially if you pulled them the full distance, would be super strong. So, well, I'm not surprised, but I see what you mean. Like,
Well, that's even if if it's narrower, it should be able to only grab one person. And like TBK was saying, he is he separates people. There's not a ton of situations unless like a team's retreating where you're even wanting to pull multiple people in towards you.
Yeah.
You want to only try and grab one, so it can actually be like a deterrence at some points. And the only times you're really initiating it with it right now is like if you're in a bush or like you just happen to walk up on somebody. Otherwise, they can still again kind of stay out of that range. So I would even like as a potential fix, like to see that straight line, more range, like only able to hit one person instead.
Yeah, but at what point does it just become Stitch's hook?
It wouldn't.
I don't know.
You still have to hit on the very tip.
You got a good point. You have to hit on the very tip of Stitch's hook.
No, you don't. It can if it comes in contact with them at any point in the path.
Oh, you're talking earlier. Yeah,
I'm just saying like that's an example of a line nuke thing that you grab someone long distance. But I see what you mean. I see, and I really like the fact that you can only grab them with the tip on this one.
Yeah,
I think it just adds a little bit of extra depth to using that ability. Yeah. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about what was their intention with him, because if their intention was that he can't initiate, he doesn't have a gap closer and can't initiate like that, then he's working as intended. Yeah. Like that's not necessarily a deficiency. That's a design decision, right? Mm-hmm. And so if it is a design decision, then we need to say, okay, what does solo tank mean? Does solo tank mean he's got all the tools he needs himself to survive, to initiate, to crowd control, to displace, whatever? Or does it mean that paired with the right team members, he can be that solo meat shield or that solo heavy HP displacer type person? And that's, at least from appearances, that's what Blizzard was intending with this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
and it's kind of cool. If that's the case, that's fine, and that just leaves it up to us to figure out the combos that will work out well with him, or figure out good dual tank situations with him, which is not necessarily a bad thing either.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll see that. He just feels like a character we're gonna see in HGC.
There's almost no question. He just has so much playmaking ability. But again, it just seems to me he's an isolation tank. Whether that's solo or duo, you wouldn't have to build the comp as specifically to him. But if you solo it, you might have to arrange your composition to make up for his gap closing deficiencies, and that's fine. And then that's just another play style, and it's up to us to figure out, okay, what are the best combos with Garrosh to enable him to be that isolation tank.
Quick question. In the video, did they say he was a solo tank or a solo warrior?
Yes. Solo tank.
That's where they got us. They slipped one over our heads. So he can solo tank, but you need another warrior with an initiation. You got us, Blizzard. Dang it. Throw a Sonya in there or something. I don't know. But yeah, and I'm sure, it's still early on. He's been in game for 2 days now. We'll cover him more next week once we've had more chance to kind of see his stuff and see what we come up with, some possible synergies, see if he does have what it takes to be that solo tank / solo warrior.
Interestingly, he is extremely low win rate.
Yeah, like 40
now,
45%.
Right out of the gate. I think it was even lower than that. He currently is at 42.8.
I think that's because of the high skill cap and that he doesn't carry in terms of damage and his wave clear is really pretty bad too.
He's much more team based.
Exactly.
I think.
And a lot of those just end up getting the lower win rates just because, you let them figure it out yet for one.
It's just like 2 days of stats, and it's not a super. You got to look at the popularity rate when you look at hot slogs too, because something that is a 60% popularity rate, but like a 42% win rate, that's a big issue. But something that's like a 3% popularity rate and like a 42, 43% win rate, that might just be that people haven't figured him out yet. Not enough people are playing him for the statistics to be good. And so it's much better. And I'll actually talk about this in my community content shout out later. It's much better to look at these things, not just from the first day, especially with these high skill cap heroes like Garrosh, but you need to wait a week or two to let it settle once people kind of figure out what's going on and then see where you look from there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's go ahead, move on, and talk about some of the changes that happened in the patch that weren't necessarily in the PTR. First up, and huge props to them for doing this, Hanamura has been removed from all game modes except custom games in order to undergo changes. So that's...
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, this is big. This is a really big thing for them.
Yes,
because Hanamura just came out a few months ago. And so for Blizzard to admit, hey guys, we agree with you that there are more fundamental problems than just a quick fix can solve. And it's not a fun or it's not a profitable map right now. So we are just going to pull it completely rather than leave it in while we're reworking, really says a lot. And it's very big of Blizzard to do that, because that's somebody's baby, and not only somebody's baby, that's like a brand new baby. and so for them to be like, well, we probably need to pull this because it's just not providing a good gameplay environment. I'm sure it was a hard decision to make, but I think in the long term it will probably be the right one.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Blizzard had the same emotional roller coaster over this map as I have, because I mean we saw it for the first time, super hyped, super beautiful, really excited. Got in there, I really liked a lot of things about it, and then we started to learn about the push meta and how that worked, and so I started to go, well, that's not great. Maybe they could change some things. But man, TBK, as soon as you told me about the fact that people were being held hostage at the end of games for 30, 40 minutes at a time, just a farm experience, at that point, even I was like, oh no, they got to get that thing out of there. They got to figure something else out. So
yeah, that's rough.
I'm sure, to me, it feels like this was a reaction to that directly. But I mean, if they can fix a lot of those other things along the way too, and I mean, if they're undergoing major changes to it, then we could see some really cool stuff out of it. So yeah, I agree. I just think it was big of them. If I were them, I wouldn't even be embarrassed. You know, you've made the right call, and I trust that you'll continue to.
I mean, Blizz Travis even posted in a Reddit thread that sometimes you learn more from your mistakes than your successes. And so I'm sure this was an incredible learning experience for them about what works in a map and what doesn't. And more so, I think, players' tolerances for things. Like maybe it was just too much new stuff at the same time, or too many mechanics all at the same time. Mm-hmm. And they passed the threshold of what the average player was able to comprehend during a single game. And so that's kind of hurt the map overall. I don't know, but it's good info to have.
That's a really good point on, like, if you think about it, all of our other maps have had new mechanics, but it's kind of been an iteration off an old mechanic. So just, collecting resources or capturing a certain point, to where this was completely new, no pushing camps,
the tokens. Pretty much totally new. I mean, you had like the warhead functionality the same, but how these tokens worked and like learning all three types, at which camps drop them, and
mercenaries don't push.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you can't push to the core. It's it's a big deal.
There were a ton of changes here, but I'm excited for it. I know a lot of people still Haunted Mines isn't one of their favorite maps. I enjoy it, and think about how drastically that got changed. From adding in more entry points to the mine, the golems actually rotating where they're pushing now. So there's a lot of stuff that they can obviously go in and do to make big changes. So it'll probably be a while, I'd imagine. But
Haunted Mines was a year.
Yeah,
Yeah, well.
holy cow.
I doubt they
Yeah.
take a whole year on this one. But one thing about Haunted Mines too is that I don't think like when we got it back, the soul of the map was still there. Like it still felt like Haunted Mines, and I feel like whatever we get back from this is probably going to be the same, at least in that regard. Just more balanced, maybe less complicated, and again, I mean, you can't drop the payload thing entirely, right?
Yeah.
No, and I don't think they will, but I think whatever does come back out of this will be a fairly significant feel to what we have now from a gameplay perspective.
Sure.
Whether just simplified or just less mechanics or something.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. Some other changes here. Dragonshire got some changes. So as far as the Dragon
A month
Knight,
ago.
what?
A month ago.
Oh,
yeah.
They've been in there since Stukov patch. Oh, look at that.
Yes,
but they were missing.
So this is super funny. This is super funny because a few people kind of noticed this, but no one really confirmed it. And apparently, the Dragon Knight has been significantly buffed since the Stukov patch, and they forgot to put it in, and so they revealed it. And it's like double damage to minions and base health from 8,000 to 9,300 and starting duration increased from 50 to 55. Adjusted weapon swing. Base initial damage of flame breath is higher. The charge no longer has that little 0.25 second damage delay after punting the target. And he's apparently been working out with some NFL kickers because the damage was increased from 300 to 450.
Wow. That
You weren't getting better at the Dragon Knight. I'm sorry, guys.
Dang it.
It was just buffed.
I did see a guy who looked like he was stutter stepping on one super well, and I was like, man, that guy's good in the Dragon Knight. But no, the weapon swing's just better. So, yep. Cool.
Yeah, interesting. Well,
that's a surprise.
That kind of leads us to another potential thing that was just left out of patch notes. I don't remember seeing it anywhere, and it has been noticed on Twitter or Reddit. I'm sure Twitter as well. But apparently Stukov's healing icon has changed, and people are asking to get it back because... And I noticed this but didn't notice it. I played with the Stukov earlier today, and I never felt like I had the icon on me. Like I was getting the heals. But apparently I just didn't notice it. So... he's talking about how he throws it on his teammates now. They don't realize it's on them. It doesn't get spread. The team dies. And this is a very big issue because that's one of the good things, the most important things about that hero is knowing when you have that on you, because a lot of people play in solo queue or quick match, and your team has to know to spread that. Otherwise, you are going to be useless. So I don't even know what it looks like now at this point.
So basically what everyone saw before is the little, your little green plus or that little purple minus or whatever above the enemies. The allies saw all of his healing stuff, and you saw the enemies, and the enemies saw the purple stuff, right? And so now it's changed to just seeing the little tiny brown bar tick down, and you get this little green glow around you. It's not super noticeable, and I hate it.
You know what I bet caused it? Because it wasn't above the health bar last time. It was right to the right of the health bar.
Side,
that's where the armor is now.
It was above your head.
No, I think it was to the right of the health bar.
It was above your head.
Above and to the right, I thought, but I'm not sure.
It wasn't in the armor spot, though.
Either way, maybe the armor changed.
You have to take my word on this one. I've played a lot.
Regardless, what I feel like they're trying to do is obviously just get rid of Clutter because of adding that armor indicator.
Okay, so Nate Lamouget actually responded to this, and the TLDR is it's a Clutter thing.
Yeah,
is that we feel the spam isn't worth the value of the information. Apparently, it was a bug that it went out the way it did. The idea was that only Stukov sees the overhead visual effects, while Stukov's allies see the generic buff duration bar. Enemies see neither, and everyone sees the buff effects, the little green mist on the body. I realize that right now the missing component to that is a generic buff duration bar, which we'll fix soon. So the generic buff duration bar isn't even working right now. It's just the little green glow. So he talks about, constant battle to reduce spam for what it was. Some people like it, some people don't. It's a judgment call, plain and simple, one which people can disagree with, and maybe one we disagree with internally. For the overall health of the game, a call must be made. I'm not going to say that if we shipped it as intended, that a similar thread to like this wouldn't exist. Hey, can you make it so everyone, can see the little plus or whatever? Right. He says he personally entertains that notion for literally every decision they've collectively come to. All I can say is give it a shot. It may not be that bad once you and your allies adapt. If you can, then it's a small win overall for the game. And I think I just have to disagree with him completely.
I'm going to
on
as well.
This.
Yep,
like
I'll jump
that is such an important part of Stukov's kit. And it was such a good indicator as a player to have and see that little icon ticking down. I know exactly how much, because it wasn't two separate bars. It wasn't like a green glowy, because you could say the green glowy on my character's Clutter, and then you have a little brown bar and the green glowy. That's two things, where the other thing was just one consistent thing over your head. It's not like we have a lot of over the head stuff right now from characters. We have Avatar hat and we have Ariel crown. And heck, I don't even necessarily need to see the Ariel crown. I know they changed that, but and it can be a little bit helpful as the person to know you're the crown person, so maybe you poke a little more, or, whatever. I think this is far more necessary than that.
Yeah,
certainly than the crown. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the first guy says, I was actually really impressed with how many of my allies were proactive about both spreading my healing buff and coming near me or another ally that has it to pick it up themselves when they had the buff. It has made healing with Stukov much more enjoyable when my allies are on board. The change makes it near impossible to track the buff during combat, even for me when I'm not playing Stukov. I understand the need to reduce visual clutter, but in a world of Diablo lightning breaths and leaming orbs, it seems that healing visuals are taking a backseat unnecessarily. No visual effect is more important to me than knowing when when I will be able to receive healing. Unlike Lucio and Brightwing's healing auras, I also just can't assume where the healing effect is, since Stukov's heal is so dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this, yeah, and like I said, this is as a support person and as a Stukov, someone who's played Stukov a lot, I completely disagree with this change, and I want the old functionality back, because it's a single character. It only happens visual clutter wise when he is on a team, and that's it. It's not like it adds visual clutter to every game. It just adds some extra stuff, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to have hero-specific stuff when necessary, and I think that mechanic very much necessitates the way it was.
Yeah.
I'm also just not too thrown off by visual clutter, really. I mean, obviously there'd be a line on that, but the fact that they added the new armor right there, I don't take that as clutter. I take that as useful information, as I would with this. But what were you going to say, Gizmo?
Yeah, I was going to, even if they, like, it was fairly big before, like, I'm okay if you reduce the size of it a little bit, but my big thing with their proactiveness on reducing clutter is, yes, it could potentially be an issue someday, but we haven't gotten there, and I have never seen any complaints or Reddit posts about clutter getting out of hand. You only ever see complaints about when things get removed. Like, think of the fire on fire. When that got removed, they removed that for visual clutter and stuff. Granted, we didn't have as many things at that point, so maybe they were doing it proactively before adding the stuff in. But no one was ever like complaining about that stuff. Like, everyone was like, no, we want that back, which, they brought it back on the portraits and up top, which is really cool. But this seems like one of the things where they're almost too proactive.
I
when
agree.
it comes to these changes. Yeah. So I don't want to say, like, oh, wait until crap hits the fan and everyone's pissed because there's so much clutter on board. but I literally have not seen a lick of complaints about there's too much information on my character right now. So I don't know, but this 100% absolutely
Especially in
something that
his
needs to come back.
case,
Yeah.
knowledge is power.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. It's a
just changes how you
Stukov specific. Exactly. It's a Stukov
Mm-hmm.
specific thing. When you have that little green plus over your head that's ticking down, you know, hey, this is spreading. Let me get close to people. If you're just going to have a little green aura or a little bar, I'm not going to notice that in combat. I need something to show me as a Stukov, first off, but more so as a player who's got the Stukov healer, where the healing is going around. Do I need to move closer to somebody? If that I can easy glance that big plus. Okay, he's got the thing. I haven't got it yet. I need to get a little closer to him to receive the healing. Or otherwise, who's got the little green glow? Like, or do I have a little green glow? Or you need, especially in team fights, you need that instant information. And that provided the instant information, which without, at least I feel, cluttering things up. Like Greg said, if you need to make it a little smaller, make it a little smaller. Whatever. But it's so important to his kit for his allies specifically that it really needs to come back.
Yeah, and I will say, apparently there's that bar or whatever isn't in game, which is supposed to be. I don't know what that looks like.
It's just a little brown bar, like if you get stunned by the example is like Odin's thing.
That's not
No, a tiny green glow and a brown bar. And if you make the green glow more, you might as well just give the plus back and get rid of having to have the brown bar and a big green glow around your character.
It'll be more cluttery to have a giant cloud of green glow around you. So.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. Also here on the Reddits, this has to do with the changes that came to both Quick Match and AI.
Yay!
This is a good one. So in Quick Match, in AI matches, you will never have mirror matches as far as AI anymore. On Quick Match, the matchmaking is going to prefer to not match you up against mirror teams. So this is overall great. 100% love it. The issues that it's going to come with and what this post was about is when new heroes come out, like Garrosh. If everybody's wanting to queue as Garrosh, that's going to drastically increase the time, which is why Liz Travis came here and said this is why it's preferred to not make mirror matches, because of huge number of people queuing as launch day heroes. That's still going to see, they are still going to see mirrors until demand drops down far enough that it's no longer necessary to mirror in order to create matches in a reasonable time. Normal day-to-day heroes, though, shouldn't see mirrors except in exceptional cases. I played Garrosh. I played 4 Garrosh matches today. Did not have a mirror, and my lowest wait time was 5 minutes. I had upwards of 10 minutes, which that is too long for me.
That seems a little odd. Like the system's not quite working.
Yes,
like it was intended.
That's super weird though, because I was only able to get 2 in today, but today, not long queue times at all, less than a minute both times. And both had the mirror match with Garrosh.
Yeah, it may just be not working as intended, consistently then.
Maybe
because it was just too long of a wait for me. Because it's just going to be during launch stuff, but that's still it's Quick Match. I'm trying to get in for Quick Match. That was not
right. Yeah, they may need to iron some things out still, because according to his post, it shouldn't really increase queue times. It should just decrease the chances that you get a mirror match, unless you're playing like a very popular hero within launch week or something. Then you're going to have a greater chance of seeing that hero in your game.
And Garrosh does have the alert on there saying that that you've got the longer queue time or high estimated wait time available. So, I mean, I knew I was getting into, but I was surprised it wasn't that long, frankly. And to hear that yours is definitely interesting.
Yeah. So, overall, good though. But I think there just needs to be some wrinkles to iron out there.
Sure. Speaking of wrinkles too, I wanted to get you guys' opinion on this. Garrosh interactions, especially with Wrecking Ball, seem to be very inconsistent at times. I noticed while I was streaming some games on Monday that I had many times where Wrecking Ball would go on cooldown, but would not actually throw anybody.
I think I have seen that. Yeah.
So I know I've seen a few other reports. So and I've got, like I said, it did happen several times where they full cooldown, but no one actually went anywhere.
I was going up against an Ariel, and there were a few times that I thought I had gotten it off, but didn't, and then got whipped away, and it was full cooldown. I don't know if that's supposed to be like half cooldown. So that was a little weird. My biggest issue with it was, and I'm glad you brought this up because I meant to mention this as well. It doesn't seem to prioritize heroes over minions enough.
Right. Not enough. Yeah, I've grabbed a couple minions myself. And you could make
when
the
I'm
argument
right up
that,
against
yes,
them, though.
We need to get better at making sure we're super right up against them. But even so, if we're like measuring pixels on these kinds of things, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Well,
I think
that was actually addressed on the core interview.
Was it? Okay.
Interestingly enough.
I'll have to go listen. I haven't yet, but I will. Super
if you
fun.
haven't checked that out, do that. But I just wanted to bring that up because there was definitely some inconsistencies, like potentially maybe if they're in your range when you hit the E, but then they walk out, the E still goes off to full cooldown, but it doesn't actually throw them.
Does it do the animation?
Could be something. Yeah. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and check. All I know is no one was thrown.
Yeah.
And full cooldown. And I've also had some weird inconsistencies with his W not going off as well.
It's weird.
It's very
feel
picky.
Like a full off swing.
It's not.
It doesn't feel like Frostmourne and Hungers on Arthas, and I feel like it should.
Yeah, it's not at this point. It is an activatable that makes your next auto attack.
Well, it is an off swing. I mean, like you can do your swing animation and then get it off, but it just doesn't have the same feel as Frostmourne and Hungers. So I don't know.
It feels like I'm hitting it sometimes. It feels like I'm attacking a minion that he. Let's say I killed a minion, right? And he switches to another minion automatically and starts attacking it, okay? I hit W. W doesn't go off. I right-click that same minion, hit W again, and it does go off.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff.
There's some really weird interactions with it. And like Multi was saying, I was hoping it would act like Frostmourne and Hungers, to where it activate it and it just goes. And it seems like you have to be specifically targeted on something that you've chosen to attack to get it to go. It's weird. I don't know. It was just I could be crazy. It was
no, you're not.
Just a feel thing, but it definitely felt off, and that it wasn't as responsive as it should have been when I was trying to use it.
Yeah.
Nope. I had the same exact reaction. Even in the PTR, I was like, this is an off swing, but it's just weird. I don't know. What are you going to say?
It sounds like there are just maybe some bugs to be ironed out here, because I didn't experience this just because I didn't go up against any Garrosh. But did you either of you notice Gone Postal asking if we can still see the enemy's cone from ground break?
I seem to think I could.
When they're casting that?
Yeah, I seem to think so, but I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I don't recall off the top of my head. I'd have to,
because that'd be a bad
I'd have
thing
to
as well.
look at.
All right. Well,
unless that was by design.
Yeah, it's definitely, it seems like some bugginess and some responsive issues that still need to be worked out.
Yeah. And again, this is a character with like a new mechanic that we haven't had, so there's bound to be some issues, but preferably those would have gotten ironed out in PTR, but things happen.
We should have tested it more. That's all there is to it.
It's our fault.
It is.
It's our fault, and we should feel bad. Let's go ahead and get into the HGC. All right, TBK. A little bit to talk about this week. Why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
We do. Western Clash happened. Did you guys get a watch?
Oh, yeah. Tons of it.
Awesome. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, did you get a watch?
I got to watch a few rounds. I unfortunately did not get to watch as much as I was hoping. So I am going to go back and catch some VODs this weekend.
Yes. And as
Yeah.
Multi has said many times, they have amazing VODs.
Yep.
Very well done. There's a few series I'll point out for you VOD people that want to do it. I was able to catch most of the games live Friday and Sunday. Saturday
You
I
woke
was
up
gone.
for them?
I did.
Wow. I
Well,
applaud you.
Friday I only missed. I mean, I missed like the first set of those days because
Gotcha.
5 a.m. But you know, I love Heroes, but I love sleep too. And
I might
sleep.
be able to stay up till 5 a.m. I just don't know if I can.
Exactly. Well,
get
you'll
up.
be in luck when I talk about the Eastern Clash then,
Well, then,
because
perfect.
it's like the opposite. Yeah, Western Clash. It was a pretty good event. Production wise, it seemed like there were some more issues
Yeah.
than mid-season brawl. Definitely, and I consider mid-season brawl at this point like pinnacle. Like
Mhm.
Oh,
that.
for sure.
That for me was the best Heroes tournament I've ever seen from a production and just games quality standpoint. It was absolutely insane, and I loved it. So there were a few issues with sound. With the time between games was longer than it should have been, several times probably as well. So a few issues there. The stage was really cool though, and there was some good games. Not quite the level of the mid-season brawl though. There were definitely much bigger standouts, I think, in this Western Clash than there were at the mid-season brawl with all the regions. But first, I wanted to talk about the little HGC cheer thing. Right, we've talked about it. A little bit the last two episodes, and it's just this is a Blizzard experiment, right? I'm sure they probably had. I'm sure they had expectations, but I'm sure they had no idea how it was actually going to do. Well, it did pretty dang good, Blizzard. I'm not sure what your
Seems like
expectations are, but it shattered my conceptions of what the expectations were going to be. As of now, 11,915,015 bits have been cheered, and that continues to fluctuate. But that is almost $120,000 in cheering
In a week.
that has happened since the beginning of last week. That is nuts.
That's pretty nuts.
I think that destroys like all my expectations for what I thought it was going to be. And not only that, anybody who actually put in 100 bits, which is like $1.40, you get a mount. Like we passed the 10 million bit mount.
Question on that. If somebody went in and cheered 100 bits now, would they still get that mount?
Yes.
Okay.
Sweet.
It's retroactive. So that's awesome. I myself have put in some bits. I've got like 5 of Fanatics things unlocked. I've got 1 or 2 of Gale Forces, just 1 or 2 of Tempo Storms. You only need to cheer like 250 bits and you'll get the team portrait in game and then a Twitch emote for it. So if that's kind of what you're going for if you have several teams. I do want to note, because a lot of people didn't know this, once you cheer that many bits for a team, you have to go to that twitch.tv/BlizzHeroes/esports/HGC-2017 page, that the bits page, and actually click on the little unlock icon to claim the emote, or I assume to claim the in-game item when they go live. Because I cheered the things, and I was like, where's my emote? And I had no idea until I looked around. It's like, oh, you can click on it, and it says claim. So that's how you do it, I guess. No news yet on the personal progress. We talked about that last week, so we don't know how long that personal progress is going to be. But of course, as always, there are crazy people that have way more money than me. And Gladman7 is leading the leaderboard ranks with, and I kid you not, 362 3,500 bits cheered.
So what does that translate to again? If you could
That
remind
translates to $3,625.
Oh,
Well,
more than
man.
that.
in bits, it's plus the Twitch bit surcharge.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way,
So,
if you're listening,
4,000 bits or so.
if you're listening, real quick there, good sir, it's called patreon.com/Lords of the Storm.
But yeah, there's several people that already have the 75,000 bit personal goal.
Hmm.
Not a lot. It's not going to be a lot of people, but
Sure.
there are. Fnatic is in the lead right now with almost 2.3 million bits. But even the eighth team on the leaderboard has over 500,000 bits cheered for them.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say it's still probably a little too early to call it, but I would say so far rousing success.
Mm-hmm.
Blizzard. Like that's pretty big, and it'll be interesting to see once the Eastern Clash goes on next weekend what that looks like, or the HGC matches from week to week, how much that drops off, how much that dips, and what becomes like the average of what we get on a single weekend. So it's exciting though.
Yeah. And again, this is Western Clash. Imagine what it's going to be when it's like a worldwide event again. Because, Fnatic, 228,000, that's like 22, almost $23,000. So that is what?
2.3 million.
Oh my, so that's, yeah. No.
That's like $23,000. $23,000
so
Fnatic.
That is, no.
Split it in half.
Yeah. So about 11,000, 12,000, 11,000 to Fnatic. That's an organization getting $11,000 in a week.
Yeah.
Added on that they wouldn't have. So I don't know, what the rules are as far as how much that goes to players, things like that, which actually will be an interesting discussion I want to have sometime down the line with what's going on with Overwatch League and stuff now, because some huge stuff has come out on that that I think needs to be talked about for the Heroes esports scene and what the future is.
For sure.
But this is a huge potential for not only getting more organizations in here, but getting these players better taken care of as well.
Yeah, and this is part of their initiative to make sure that in 2018 there's no team that goes unsponsored.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a very good initiative, because this is just another thing that they can check off and say, if you come in, you'll most likely get free money from Cheers.
Yep.
True.
Yeah, and the better you do,
reason enough.
it's reason to do good, right? The better you do, most likely the more cheering you'll get.
Yep.
So, as far as the Western Clash goes, there were some really good sets. There are a few really good sets. I would highly recommend the Team Liquid, Team Freedom.
Oh yeah.
Set. Mm-hmm. Very, very good set of games. There were a few NA teams that actually showed up really well. Both Gale Force and Team Freedom, I thought, had some pretty good moments. Tempo Storm looked probably as weak as they ever have.
Yes, they did.
Which was a little unfortunate. There were no NA teams in the top 3. Gale Force was number 4.
Which is pretty good. I mean, I was happy they got that far.
Yeah.
They were top NA. So.
Yeah, they were top NA. It could have gone either way. Team Freedom could have beat Liquid. It was just there. Like, the potential was there. I was very impressed with Team Freedom, especially this being most of their first lands.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a 3-2, right? So yeah.
It was extremely close. Like I said, that's the one I recommend you go watch the VODs of, because there was just some amazing plays during those games. But to be honest, like, this was Fnatic's show.
Oh yeah.
This was all Fnatic show. Mid-season brawl, there were several teams that could have taken it all, honestly. This one, Fnatic did not drop a single game.
Period.
Not a single series. They did not drop a single game.
Didn't lose a map.
Breeze did not die once.
Yeah, I saw that. That is
He had a
That I did not know.
118 KDA ratio.
That I did not know. That is literally insane. How are they not the best team in the world at this point?
I mean, they are right now.
They just are. Yeah.
Yeah, they just are. Like, they won the midseason brawl, which
Already
basically
super
said they're
impressive.
the best in the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they won the Western Clash. And so, I mean, right now their sights are set on BlizzCon. And it's basically, they went into BlizzCon last year as underdogs. They're going in this year as top dogs. Like, this is
In a way we've never seen before, really. I don't think.
they are so good. Like,
Yeah.
there was one or two games that were kind of close. They could have gone either way, but on the whole, it was domination.
Well, it seemed like the games would start off where like the other team would get kind of an XP advantage and be like taking a couple good fights and that sort of thing. Like you'd see Team Expert kind of pull ahead, maybe hit 10 first, that sort of thing. But then Fnatic just closed the deal every time. Like they just knew how to like essentially just work not only the macro but the micro of the individual group fights. I mean, every single time it seemed like a group fight would break out and maybe the other team would be initiating it, and I might think, oh, here's their chance to turn around, and then I blink, and 2 or 3 of the opposing teammates are dead, and I think that was true throughout the entire tournament. So
Yep.
it was pretty crazy.
There was a decent amount of competition between some of the teams that weren't Fnatic. Like the second, third, fourth spot was much more heavily contested than the number one spot was. But like I said, Western Clash was the Fnatic show. And now basically it's all eyes on them to see if they can repeat at BlizzCon. But they've done it in the midseason brawl. They've done it in the Western Clash now. And so there's no reason to think they won't be up to form for BlizzCon. And so now
jinxed him.
Yeah. And so now it's, can any other team reach those levels?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just fantastic. Any other Western Clash thoughts from either of you guys?
Just the.
I wanted to say. Oh no, go ahead.
I just wanted to, because I saw about it the first time in our Discord today. The pleb horse. Meme
yes.
is the greatest thing to come out of, I think.
The horse camp?
Yes.
Horse camp.
Horse camp.
So do explain.
So what was Team Good? No, not Team Good guys.
Team Expert.
Team Experts. And what's his name?
Bad Benny.
Bad Benny had apparently not been able to make some earlier scrims because he had to go to a horse camp that his significant other dragged him to. And he did not like said horse camp because I guess there's a picture of him falling off a horse. But it was... Yeah, in one of the games, both sides were just riding plebs horses because of Bad Benny Horse Camp, and I thought it completely broke Trixler, but he pulled himself together pretty quick, and then it was like Caldor had a slight delay and
He was
absolutely
dying.
broke down.
Oh yeah.
Like not quite Dreadnought Gilly breakdown that we've had in the past, but it was really close.
If you join the Discord in the general channel, Sardonic linked a clip of it. It's hilarious.
And really, when the casters break down like that, it's the best.
It really is.
I don't even think it's unfortunal. It's just the
It's
best.
fun to see that every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really funny. So yeah, definitely. Like I said, I would point to the Team Freedom, Team Liquid game if you were wanting to watch a single set that was incredibly good. But there were some very good games, but it was the Fnatic show.
I wanted to say one quick thing.
Go ahead.
With comps, I kind of alluded to this at the top of the show, but yeah, definitely a lot of double support coming out of this, which you've got to be excited about, TBK. As well as we did actually see some ETC though, even in the finals.
It's okay.
Good ETC play.
I need to qualify this because I still think ETC needs a trait rework and that he's in a really bad spot. But there are comps that you can take to overcome ETC's weaknesses. And let's just be honest, Fnatic can make anything look good.
Yeah,
They can play really whatever they want and they're fine. A few other teams pulled it out and had some success with it. But we always saw him with either double support, keep him up. We almost always saw him with another tank or another beefy frontline of some sort. And if we didn't, it was the double support. Or we saw him with an Uther or a Medivh.
Yeah.
Just to help.
The Medivh for the shields, the Uther the Uther kind of makes up for the armor that he doesn't have all the time.
Yeah.
So it's doable. You can make it work.
You have
if
to
you're
work around
coordinated
it.
for it. But yeah, you have to very much draft specifically to make up for his very real weaknesses right now.
Sounds like Garrosh.
It was fun to see him out again, though. I've missed him. He was in everything, and then he was in nothing, and so it's nice to see him brought out in some niche comps that fit him every once in a while.
You know who else was fun to see out? Lili. A lot more Lili than I would have expected, but they're countering some of these auto attackers. Like we've seen a ton of Illidan's in the meta now, as well as your standard like Tassadar Illidan plus even another support. But yeah, Lili was showing up. So,
Lili,
yeah,
right, man.
we saw some Stukov.
that too,
right.
yeah.
That was fun to see.
It was. So
Okay, so finally, to kind of wrap things up, Eastern Clash. That is this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. For multi, or for the multis of the world who like the later things, it starts at 12 a.m.
yes.
on Friday. So there you go.
Tomorrow night, though. Technically, like I'd have to stay up Thursday night for it.
Yes, you'd have to stay up Thursday night.
Oh, 12 a.m.
Yeah,
12 a.m. So 12 a.m., 1:30 a.m., 3 a.m., 4:30 a.m., 6 a.m., 7:30 a.m. Central Time.
Where's it taking place?
Taiwan, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep,
Taipei,
Taipei.
Taiwan.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so all the casters are there right now. It starts off with MVP Black versus Deadly Kittens, and then we'll ramp up from there. So Thursday night, I guess, like you said, multi Thursday night into Friday morning is when it starts.
Yeah, I can't stay up for the Thursday night one, but maybe a few of the others.
Yeah,
And there's
I'm gonna
VODs.
try and catch
There's
some.
always VODs. You know
I'm
what?
gonna
When
try
they
and
had the production hiccups this last time, with the long periods where we're waiting for the games to start, if you're watching the VOD, you can just fast forward through all that stuff. It's great.
It's true.
It's great.
Yep, agreed.
All right, so make sure to check that stuff out. TBK, you had alluded to this earlier, but what do you got for community content this week?
So this week I wanted to highlight Critic Kitten, who does like patch analysis, which is really, really cool. And so Critic Kitten does these like 7 day later after each patch, analyzing win rates from HOTS logs and stuff, and then a brief description of the why and the details of these different patches, and who's going up and who's going down. And they're really interesting to look at and just really well put together, and kind of show what the impact of balance changes or major patches were. And Critic Kitten does these for just about every balance patch or major patch and stuff. So definitely check that out. I'll have the link in the show notes. Does it mostly on Heroes Hearth, heroeshearth.com/b, which is their blogs /Critic Kitten. And that's where all the blogs are. But you can usually find them on Reddit as well.
Yeah, and these are another one of those things that are super easy to read and to get a lot of information from. So it's just another one of those ways if you're looking to, step your game up, keep up with keep your hero rotation hot. It's a good thing to check out. Oh,
Yep.
Absolutely.
right. So we have what we got. Yeah, we got time. We can do this. One email that we got here from Kadzin. Multi, take it away.
Okay, so Kadzin writes, "Hey guys, I wanted to continue TBK's thoughts on representation of Garrosh and HOTS and bosses in general. I personally think a lot of bosses don't quite match the fantasy of their games in HOTS. The one that bothers me the most is Arthas. His kit works, and after his talent rework and extra armor, he's great, but to me, he just doesn't feel like the Lich King. He just feels like a generic Death Knight, which is ironic because Death Knights in WoW have or had a lot of his abilities from his boss fight for a while, like Defile, Necrotic Plague, and Remorseless Winter. Several other bosses fall in that area too. For example, Diablo, Mexican wrestler though he may be, but a boss from the game he ain't. Leoric, Malthael, and Asmodan feel much closer to their in-game fights, or at least thematically feel close, which I think is important. Gameplay, of course, comes first, like in the case of the Butcher. During his fight, he can throw his sickle at you and drag you to him. You can even get a legendary item that does a similar effect, but we already have Stitches with a hook, so the ability got cut. Pun intended. Let's see. Illidan, on the other hand, is nothing like his fight in Burning Crusade, but he closer matches his Warcraft 3 kit, with Immolation being a talent, Evasion and Metamorphosis being his abilities, and Heroic. Only part of him that is missing is Mana Burn. Anubarak is the same way. Which brings me back to Garrosh. Would I have wanted to see Iron Stars and Shock Corruption abilities? Absolutely. Would it have made for an interesting kit? Maybe. What we got is War Chief Garrosh, and I think that is fine as well as long as the hero is fun to play. Anyway, what do you guys think? Which boss heroes Blizzard, or which boss hero has Blizzard done well or not so well? Should Garrosh get a Shock Corrupted skin where he gets more corruption on him as his armor increases? I wonder if that's where he got that idea from, TBK. As always, great show. Keep up the good work. Regards, Kadzin. So, okay, first of all, I want to address your point on the Lich King. I do agree with you on this in terms of like him just being more of a general Death Knight than having his full abilities. If you ask me, though, these days, I personally think one of his abilities should read Taunt. At the end of your turn, add a random Death Knight card to your hand. That's Lich King now, man. That's a real representation. That's Hearthstone reference. The card's sweet. I don't know if you guys checked that out. The Death Knight cards are awesome. They are some of those abilities. There's like Death Grip, Defile, and they're all super overpowered and cool. So, yeah. Anyway, I digress. I get your point. I like this. I think I said even myself on Malthael specifically, you state that he's a little bit closer to his in-game fight, but to me, I kind of felt like they missed the mark on him too. I still kind of do. I mean, he's still good, but, you know. And so I think you're onto something. This is not certainly the first hero that we've had this issue with. And, man, as far as, like, who have they done well versus not so well, I mean, I'll ask you guys, of course, too, but I think one they definitely did do well in his own way is Ragnaros. That guy feels like Ragnaros, especially when you're, you know, actually channeled onto a downed fort and you're the full boss form version. To me, that worked. But and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I of the not so well, I'm gonna go Malthael. But what do you guys think?
So this kind of goes back to our discussion that Matt had written a forum topic on, as
Right.
far as, you know, boss fights, when you're encountering them in PvE, a lot of the ability is meant to be avoidable, which doesn't make for a fun thing when you're playing that character in game. So of course there'll be some abilities that can work, and like, you know, was mentioned Iron Star kind of being a thing that they, you know, missed the dot on for Garrosh, missed opportunity. That could have been a skill shot. So for me, when it comes to nailing a boss character, is really just going to be about the fantasy. Lord Dev is saying Arthas is Warcraft 3 Arthas, not Wrath of the Lich King boss.
Right.
So I can't speak on that. But you, Multi, so you said you didn't think Malthael, you thought he missed the mark because you didn't feel like the boss fight. But you thought Ragnaros really felt like Ragnaros. Ragnaros is nothing like any Ragnaros boss fight, besides the meatball.
Yeah.
So that, well, I mean, that just goes to my point of like, it for me, it's the feel. Do you feel like that character? And Ragnaros, I think they did do really well. For me personally,
That's what I was more talking about. Yeah, the feel.
for me personally, I think the best was Malthael. I really do feel like death, like I can be anywhere at any time. You know, just show up behind you and, you know, you're mine. If I mark you for death, like you're done. You can't escape from me. The one I would say they missed the mark on would probably be Diablo. I love Diablo. And he even has 2 abilities that he has in Diablo 3, as his Fire Stomp and then the Lightning Breath, that are both in the boss fight. But that does feel kind of more like just a beefy macho wrestler. I do enjoy the kit, but it doesn't really feel like Diablo for me. So, and people are going to have different opinions. For some people, it might be the abilities. For others like us, it'll be the feel. But, bottom line, I guess, is it fun to play? And does it not take you completely out of the fantasy, I guess, is really important. But yeah, short answer for me would be Malthael's best, Diablo worst. What about you, TBK?
I agree. Everyone's gonna have different opinions.
Yeah.
You're never gonna like the direction they go with the fantasy on everybody, and that's just something you have to get over at the end of the day and either enjoy what they made or just don't play it. It's just one of those things.
You don't have to play every hero.
Yeah, you don't have to play every hero.
And they can never fully land anything because again, they might sacrifice
3
gameplay.
abilities and 2 heroics.
That too, yeah. So
yeah, you can only do so much. I thought they did a really good job with Gul'dan.
Oh yes.
I thought they captured his stuff pretty well. I thought Thrall was captured fairly well with his kit. I know he's not like a boss, but
non-playable character.
Yeah, not a playable character. So
right.
I thought they got his across pretty well. I would agree with the Diablo thing. He does feel like a Mexican wrestler, doesn't he? It's a good kit. Like it's a good tank kit, but it doesn't necessarily scream Diablo to me. Just kind of like the same way Garrosh doesn't necessarily to me scream Garrosh. It screams this really interesting tank thing, but of course when I think Garrosh, I think of something different with like the Shah or the Iron Stars or whatever. And they just picked a different era Garrosh than what I was thinking. It's not bad. I like his kit. I'm going to play him anyways. It's just one of those things. I think the biggest miss, though, for me was Probius.
It's not a boss, though. But
no, he's not a boss. But
he's
the biggest fantasy miss.
Yeah.
As far as just straight what I see and what I feel like I'm supposed to feel when I play the character. I feel like Probius to me is the biggest fantasy miss.
That is true.
He feels like he has a mage kit. Like it should have been some sort of mage character or something. Like when I think probe, I think building stuff. And he doesn't really build stuff, and the stuff he builds isn't that cool.
Yeah, we first saw teasers for it. My initial thought was, oh man, this guy's gonna warp in like carriers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it turned out to be kind of this magey kit with a cannon.
Yeah.
A single cannon.
Yeah,
a single cannon. And so yeah, that's probably my biggest one. Or my biggest annoyance. I love Ragnaros. I completely agree with you. I think they nailed his feel, especially with his Molten Core trait. That's probably one of my favorites.
Okay. Also, I thought this when you were saying it. The biggest reason for me in Diablo, I've never understood this. Why is it lightning breath? Does anybody know?
That's how it is in the game.
Instead of fire.
Yes.
E2.
Yeah.
Well, Diablo 2, it was a lightning breath as well, and it actually looked a lot the same. So I lightning breath's one of the abilities that makes me think that they kept to his flavor, especially because the model is more of a Diablo 2, if you don't take the primeval skin, of course. Because that really did have a Diablo 2 feel to me. So,
but why in Diablo 2? Why is it lightning breath? When you think of the devil, do you think of lightning?
I do now.
I don't know. I'm sure there's probably some lore reason. Who knows? But yeah. And of course, Garrosh, he hadn't even crossed my mind as far as boss fights. But yeah, I don't know. Let us. If anybody else out there has any opinions, feel free and write in. Let us know.
Yeah. What's your best fantasy hits and misses?
This is a good one to throw down on. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I would say, not just bosses, but any like NPC where Heroes of the Storm is the first time we're actually able to get our hands on that character. All right, Multi, before we get the heck out of here, where can people reach us at?
Oh, several different ways. You can find us in-game by typing /join space LOTS, or you can go to our Discord, which is stickied at the top of our Twitter, at Lords of the Storm. We're also on twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm, live Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central. We also have Facebook, facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. You can email us with feedback or questions to lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And if you want to help out the show, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can, of course, leave a positive review. Again, we don't stress this enough, but they're seriously helpful. 5-star iTunes, positive Stitcher, that sort of thing. But again, if you want to be even more helpful, of course, we've got Patreon, patreon.com/Lords of the Storm. Again, you can give any amount that you deem appropriate. And if you're a high bits giver over there on the Twitch side anyway, maybe what was that guy's name again?
Maybe you could give a bit to us.
A single bit. How much is a single bit again?
1 cent.
Half a cent.
Half a cent.
Worth it. We'll take it. I don't even know
Something.
I don't think Patreon lets you do that, but we'll take it.
Yep. And I do believe we have another iTunes review. If you have
we
that
do.
pulled up.
I don't have it pulled up. We'll
let me
get to it
grab
next week.
You do your things. I'll grab
Okay.
it.
We'll do our
There you go.
things. Oh, you can find me individually at Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, all those things at Gizmozord. I did attempt streaming again today, and it's not there, guys. I apologize.
Yeah.
I really want to. I just can't right now. But in the future, I promise I'll be back. And then you can also catch me. We didn't have a show this week. Pat hurt his back, but on Convert to Raid Presents, the podcast about World of Warcraft, all things Blizzard, to get you caught up on the latest. Multi, where can you be reached?
Is he okay though?
Yeah, he's good.
Just sore. Yeah.
Just he couldn't sit in a chair studio for
Ew, yeah.
2
Ugh.
hours.
No, that's an
Back
awful
injuries
feeling.
suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I can be found on Twitter at Multizord, and I also want to point you at our other show called The Cavalry, which is about Overwatch, at The Cavalry Show on Twitter. So check them out. They've got a Discord as well, and it's actually been getting super active lately as well. So hop in there, guys. Check it out.
And TBK.
You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord and twitch.tv/TBKZord.
All right. And
I'm streaming. Woo!
And how about that review?
Okay, it's by New Guy 89, and hey, it's a new review. So there you go. It fits your name. Okay, so this was great knowledge pool. Helps up your game and keeps you up to date on not only the changes in the game, but how to utilize/react to them. So, yeah, thanks a lot, New Guy.
Awesome.
Thanks,
you.
new guy.
We do appreciate it. We try and keep our heads full of knowledge and stuff to talk about. But that's going to do it for this week's show. I want to give a special thanks to our patron producer, Ouroboros Zord, for helping support us as always. And until next time, we'll see you guys same time, same place next week. Hopefully we'll see you for some Team League games maybe. Not on Hanamura, though. 9 p.m. Central, Wednesday. This place. See you there.
Enough. I shall do no more.
I didn't have an outro that time. I got nothing. We got